The truth is that in life, you can't really hide who you are. And whilst the millionaire actor David Tennant is famous for adopting a number of roles, including Doctor Who, he revealed his true self on Thursday.
But I suppose if I'm honest, I'm a little depressed by the fact that acknowledging that everyone has the right to be who they want to be and live their life how they want to live it, as long as they're not hurting anyone else, should merit any kind of special award or special mention, because it's common sense, isn't it? However, until we wake up and Kemi Badenoch doesn't exist anymore, I don't wish ill of her, I just wish her to shut up.
Wow. First of all, Tennant says that he wishes Kemi Badenoch didn't exist anymore. What does that mean? If she didn't exist anymore, she would be dead, wouldn't she? Is her view that there are two biological sexes, which can be confirmed by any GCSE biology textbook, so egregious that she should be snuffed out, magicked away in a time machine to a galaxy far away where she can't pollute the Earth with her common sense views? Mr. Tennant says that I wished no ill on her, but the previous sentence was that he would like her not to exist anymore. This inescapably dark remark reflects the underlying coercive violence of the so-called Be Kind crowd, who are anything but. How do you think Kemi Badenoch's family, in particular her young children, feel about the fact that one of Britain's best paid and most famous celebrities wants their mum not to exist anymore for the great crime of wanting girls to have their own toilets? Can you imagine if a male celebrity on the political right had made these comments about a woman, and a woman of colour, I might add, wishing that she didn't exist and telling her to shut up? Well, of course, he would be burned at the stake. Funnily enough, I spent the next day trying to find this story in The Guardian. This is me scrolling through my phone, looking at the Guardian app, the very day after this story broke. It was nowhere to be seen. I can't imagine why they didn't want to run it when it featured in almost every other paper. Well, the answer is that it didn't fit the narrative, did it? They knew that it was indefensible and an embarrassing own goal for woke progressives, so better leave it out altogether. Withholding editorial is as much a manipulation of the reader as running it. Not covering stories is a form of lying. So will David Tennant succumb to the scourge of cancel culture? Will those theatre parts disappear? Will the movie roles and TV characters dry up? Of course not, because the lovely establishment give people like David Tennant a blank cheque because he is on the correct side of the political spectrum. Now, these people think three things, OK? They think that they're right about everything, they think that they're the good people, and they think they will win. Well, let me tackle each one head on. They're not right about everything. There are not 100 genders, and you cannot change your sex. As evidence to support my case that Doctor Who lives in a fantasy world, let's hear from one of the greatest experts on human reproduction in the world, Professor Robert Winston, speaking on the BBC Question Time show.
I'll say this categorically, that you cannot change your sex. Your sex actually is there in every single cell in the body. You have a chromosomal sex, you have genetic sex, you have hormonal sex, you have all sorts of different kinds of psychological, brain sex, they're all different.
Well, there you have it. I wonder if David Tennant wants him not to exist as well. I wonder if he would tell an erudite man like Professor Winston to shut up too. So, people like David Tennant are wrong. Secondly, there's a perception that people like him are the good people, except their supporters, who often share the same bonkers creed as Tennant, issue death and rape threats to women like J.K. Rowling and Martina Navratilova, who merely think that men should stay out of women's sport and stay out of their locker rooms. A current Labour candidate, Rosie Duffield, is now too fearful for her safety to appear at election hustings because she is gender critical, which in my book is gender factual. So given the tyranny around this movement, they are not the nice people. And last but not least, they will not win. The truth is like water on a cracked roof. It will make its way through eventually. If I'm honest with you, the Daleks make more sense than this Doctor Who star who wants to exterminate anyone who doesn't agree with him. He should spend more time living in the real world and less time locked away in his TARDIS, travelling backwards in time when it was OK to tell women to shut up. Your reaction, gbnews.com/your say. Let's hear the views of my top pundits this evening. Journalist and communications advisor Linda Jubilee, former Tory MP and farmer Neil Parish, and political consultant and commentator Emma Burnell. Linda Jubilee, I want to know what you think, and I'm not going to tell you to shut up.
Well, that's the moot point about the whole clip, if you like. It's so intensely rude to tell anyone to shut up. That's the first point. And he was very, very unfair to her. I don't think he should have come out with this at all. I don't really understand his reasoning, and I don't know why he stands on a stage and makes these remarks, which I think are misogynistic and unfair. And as you rightly point out, in one breath he's saying he doesn't want her to exist, and in the next breath he says, well, you know, I've got nothing against the woman, apart from the fact that he doesn't want her to exist. It's just, well, it's badly thought out, but above all, it's rude. And even worse than that, it's very, very unkind.
However, Neil Parish, perhaps David Tennant feels that there is a lot of prejudice against trans people. They get a terrible amount of abuse online and in real life. They don't have an easy time of it, and he's got their back.
Yeah, but you can't attack somebody like Kemi Badenoch for her views when they are probably, most people in this country actually probably agree with her, actually, that you do actually need women-only spaces. And, you know, if you do have a penis, you should not be in a woman's changing room. Let's be blunt about it. And, I mean, Kemi is a lovely woman. I know her from Parliament. She's got a lovely family. She was expecting babies while she was in Parliament. And so, you know, why on earth does she have to be put through this? And you make the point, you know, that I'm afraid sometimes the left, and especially the trans, are really sort of hyping up all this. Anybody that doesn't agree with them is awful, and you can't say you mustn't exist. I mean, this is crazy, and I think perhaps some of his acting side of him came out, and perhaps he didn't quite mean it like he did. But it is awful to say those things.
Well, that's the problem,
I think,
Neil,
he should be apologising for what he said. Actually.
Well, that's right. It's shocking that there's no apology, Emma Burnell. He meant every word.
Look, I disagree on the edges with Dave Tennant about this issue, as we've discussed earlier in the programme. I'm a gender-critical radical feminist. So I don't believe that gender is innate. I believe that sex is. I've always fought for women's sex-based rights. I did that before this debate became such a hot topic. I'll do it after it fades away. But I think I think where David Tennant got it particularly wrong on this occasion, and I'm going to say I love David Tennant, and I will continue to love David Tennant after this, and I think that's really important, actually. David Tennant's my favourite Doctor. Absolutely adored his work in that, but I also go right back to much earlier work. So I'm not going to stop being a fan of David Tennant, but here's what I would suggest that we all need to do. We don't want our opponents to shut up. We want to debate them.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I think that by wishing away, by saying I wish, and I think, to be honest, there's a slight bit of hyperbole, both from what he said originally and some of the response to it.
OK.
So I think when he's saying she didn't exist, you can extrapolate that if you want to, but I think that's a little
I've got to get to the break. Can I just ask you very briefly, Emma, should he apologise to Kemi Badenoch?
I think he should apologise, but I think he should also stand up for his beliefs.